This week on The Splash, Children of Abraham Day celebrations, the reopening of the Orchard Lake Museum, and later, the Franklin Cider Mill reopens. The Splash is a production of Civic Center TV. We're a news magazine that covers everything from local news to feature stories, all so that we can bring you the latest from the greater West Bloomfield area. And now, let's dive into The Splash.
Welcome to The Splash. I'm Maddie Muschin. West Bloomfield's own Farhat Kazi has invented a new holiday called Children of Abraham Day as a way to bring different communities of people together to celebrate their similarities. Through this celebration, Kazi hopes to unify our community. Splash reporter Jake Kustosh gives us an overview of what this holiday is all about.
Can't we all just get along? I wonder if there's some sort of holiday that people of different backgrounds could come together and celebrate as one.
Children of Abraham Day is go back all the way when from Prophet Noah and children of and Abraham. All these three main monotheistic religion, Islam, Judaism, Christianity, they all go back to Abraham, where all this started. So I created this day to celebrate our commonality than our differences. Because in recent history, so far, at least in my lifetime, what I have observed and noticed, the focus is, unfortunately, more on our differences than commonality. And I think this day will bring everybody together to celebrate our commonality than differences.
But what about a godless heathen like me? Can I celebrate Children of Abraham Day?
If someone is not really practicing Muslim, Christian, or Judaism, but still we have that connection with our communities, with families, which goes all the way back there. So celebrating this day, I think there are a lot of misconceptions, a lot of misunderstandings about each other. So I want all the communities and our children, especially the future generation, to understand better each other.
Inventing and starting a new holiday certainly can't be a simple task. Let's find out how Farhat got this started and what she envisions for the celebrations.
This day is what I proposed to Governor Whitmer, and she approved the proclamation for this day. Is the first Friday of December every year. So I want community and especially the schools, our educators in school system, if we can celebrate this day and if this can become a calendar day, is my wish and my vision. To celebrate this, community, what I can suggest, maybe a lot of activities in school, like how we do during Christmas time, when kids bring some gifts for each other before Christmas, and Christmas choral. I wrote a poem about this day, so if we can really sing that in schools. And I have a website. I will really encourage educators, schools, and communities to look at it. It's childrenofabrahamday.org, where I propose some lessons and some activities for children to celebrate this day.
Reporting for The Splash, I'm Jake Kustosh.
You can find more information at our website at civiccentertv.com/Children of Abraham. The Orchard Lake Historical Museum has been closed throughout the pandemic, but now it is finally open and has undergone some interesting changes. Tyler Kieft has an inside look into the grand opening.
There's been a lot of history collected during the COVID-19 pandemic, and here at the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society's Orchard Lake Museum, they've also collected a new perspective on how to connect the community with its history. Corey Taylor and Gina Gregory are often seen leading the charge at the Orchard Lake Museum, spearheading historical programs and exhibits for the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society. After a long year and a half, Corey, Gina, and the volunteer team at the Historical Society have reopened the renovated and reimagined Orchard Lake Museum with a renewed facility and a renewed focus.
One of the things that we benefited from the pandemic was some extra time to do this renovation. Like I said, originally we were just going to recarpet and repaint. So the pandemic for us has been a blessing in disguise.
We could take the time that we needed to really think about what we were doing and be mindful about what we were doing and look at things in more depth and take time. So it took us a year to come up with a floor plan that really worked in every way, as best we could for the small exhibit space. So from there, people did research on their topic area. We have about 15 to 18 different topics, all about our local history. And as a group, we've all learned a lot more about what we have.
The Historical Society has not only spent the pandemic learning more about our extensive local history, but reimagining how to present this history to the public. With new digital displays, a small Kigo theater, and a number of local artifacts on loan, the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society is making history both tangible and interactive.
We decided that we needed to rethink how we described artifacts, how we described different groups of people and cultures, and we wanted to be accurate and respectful, and we needed to have appropriate wording, so we did a lot of research, and we were ultimately able to bring up some artifacts from our archives in the basement to display. We took down all of the old display cases and revamped how we displayed the artifacts so that there was more context, and we were ultimately able to display more.
Time serves history, and in taking time away from its regular programs, the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society was able to shift its view on what it means to preserve our local history and educate the public on its roots.
We're able to connect more with the community on a more local level. We were already doing that before, but because we did some more research and did more just thinking overall general picture, we were able to bring out more stories and more about the different small communities that were within our larger 4 communities.
Forging connections to local history helps inform the community about its role in the development of greater society. And with a new exhibit space and a renewed sense of purpose, the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society is able to foster these bonds and build connections to the rest of the world.
Local history brings people together as a community. People who have nothing in common can share the knowledge of what their local history is about, and it brings them together in a different way. There's a lot of local history that's pretty interesting, and I hope you make the opportunity to come over and check us out.
Well, there will be plenty of opportunity to explore local history here at the newly renovated Orchard Lake Museum, as the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society has expanded its regular hours to 3 Sundays per month and 1 Friday. Learn more about Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society programs and their open hours on their website at gwbhs.org. At the Orchard Lake Museum, I'm Tyler Kieft, reporting for The Splash.
To know more, you can visit civiccentertv.com/Orchard Lake Museum. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we'll visit the Franklin Cider Mill.
Don't go away. You're watching The Splash on Civic Center TV.
Can I ask you a question? Why'd you get vaccinated?
I'd like to go to these school dances and spring break to have fun.
I want to be in person for college next semester.
I want to get out of this pandemic.
I wanted to protect the people around me.
Why did you get vaccinated?
Because I'm really looking forward to hanging out with my friends.
I just want to go to a show, dance around, not have to worry about anything, feel like I'm free again.
So we can not miss out on the best years of our life.
And now, back to The Splash on Civic Center TV.
Welcome back to The Splash. I'm Maddie Muschin. The Franklin Cider Mill brings in visitors from all over southeastern Michigan. And with the proximity to West Bloomfield community, our residents are only a few minutes away from warm donuts and cider. With its rich history and warm environment, the Franklin Cider Mill has become a staple of fall in our area. We talked to Laura Peltz about what the Franklin Cider Mill has planned for this season. Fall is here, and that means it's time to get cider and warm donuts at the Franklin Cider Mill. A fall staple in southeastern Michigan opened last weekend, and we talked to owner Laura Peltz about the exciting updates, COVID mandates, and products that they will feature this season.
So now that we're under some reduced guidelines and yet some great fears of this new COVID virus coming up through Michigan, we've made some changes in how we are working this year. And some of them I know that our long-term customers will really be excited about. So one of the things that we're doing this year is we're opening up our press room to our visitors again to see cider pressing. So that will be terrific. We're opening up the front of our mill so that customers can come in through the front door again. But we do have one restriction, which is pretty traditional, and that is if you're going to be entering the mill, whether you've been vaccinated or not, you must still wear a mask for safety. All of our staff will still be in masks. We're not worrying so much about social distancing, but that's your choice on when you're in line or waiting for one customer to be served and you to be next. I wanted to talk again about some of our outdoor sales. So we're having our lower sales open in our community spot again. And so if you park in the back parking lot and come over the bridge, we'll have sales open both in our Franklin Favorites stand and in our lower sales. And now all outdoor sales are not mask mandated. So that really is your choice and your opinion on how to keep yourself safe. So we are opening with a brand new tent this year for all of the Franklin favorites that we always have loved, from their jellies, jams, chows, salsas, certainly maple syrup, some of the best honey around. We'll have cheeses and some meats out of the tent again. And also we're just really focusing this year on how to support all of our customers, who many of them have been cloistered still around the pandemic, and we are open.
Make sure to come visit the Franklin Cider Mill this fall to get your cider and donuts. Reporting for The Splash, I'm Maddie Mustard. To find out about events and hours, you can visit civiccentertv.com/Franklin Cider Mill 2021. This week on Testing the Waters, we hit the road to ask Greater West Bloomfield about their favorite Michigan travel locations.
There's nothing like summer in Michigan, and we have tons of beautiful destinations for 90-degree days like today. What's your favorite Michigan summer tourist destination?
I think my favorite Michigan summer travel destination would be Traverse City.
St. Joseph, Michigan. I'm on the Lake Michigan.
Lake Superior.
I love anywhere up north. Every summer, my family and I go to South Haven, just a little taste of Lake Michigan.
Mackinac Island, because I love wine, and it's like our own little mini wine country here in Michigan.
And we walk and we hike and we go swimming in the lake.
I like to swim. It's cold, but it's really beautiful.
We're going to Crystal Mountain this summer. Dip our toes in the sand and get some sunshine, walk around town.
It's really fun to ride your bikes and to enjoy the weather and to get ice cream and just hang out there.
Looks like I have a lot of places to visit this summer. Reporting for The Splash, I'm Erica Jones.
For more segments of Testing the Waters, visit civiccentertv.com/Testing the Waters. We're going to take a short break, but when we return, I'll talk to Scott Long, Assistant Superintendent for Learning Services.
Don't go away. You're watching The Splash on Civic Center TV.
Can I ask you a question? Why did you get your kids vaccinated?
It was hard for them to social distance, to be isolated from their friends.
I want them to get back to school and sports games. So as a pediatrician, I recommend the vaccine to everyone I know.
The boys lost a former teammate and classmate who was only 20 years old. It's been a devastating year.
We want to get back to normalcy. Our daughter is really looking forward to being with her friends, being a kid.
And now, back to The Splash on Civic Center TV.
Welcome back to The Splash. I'm Maddie Mustard. This week, I'm joined by Scott Long, Assistant Superintendent for Learning Services for the West Bloomfield School District. How are you doing today, Scott?
I'm doing great, Maddie. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I want to talk a little bit about what your job entails for our viewers here.
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Learning Services, and The simplest way to describe that is I supervise and I'm responsible for the implementation of curriculum and the design of curriculum. So basically what learning looks like in our classrooms from building to building, at the elementary level, the middle school level, and at the high school level. And so the way in which I support that is we have a learning services team of about 6 members. There are curriculum consultants in different content areas, and I also support and work with principals in the work they do on a daily basis to support teachers so that great learning happens in the classroom.
And obviously this school year is looking a little bit different than last year, thankfully. Will you tell us a little bit about what the difference in curriculum looks like, if it's different at all with the COVID restrictions?
I think thankfully is the key word when you said that learning looks differently, because we are like back into full days of learning, which is super exciting. When we think about where we were at this time last year, we were super excited to be in person, but we were in person for half the day. So what that meant was our elementary and middle school kids would come in for half of the day, and then they would go home, and then the next group of middle school and elementary kids would come in for half the day. And the reason that we did that was to ensure 6 feet of social distancing, that we weren't having lunches in the building, just basically following all the protocols to a T that we experienced last year. This year, some of those protocols have loosened up a little bit. There's different guidelines from the Oakland County Health Department and from the CDC. And one of the significant differences is basically the distance between kids. Now it's encouraged to have 3 feet or more of distance. With lunch, the same thing, 3 feet or more distance. So all of our kids are in the building all at the same time for an entire full day of instruction, which is absolutely amazing. They are getting to go to lunch. We're following the protocols with that. They're going outside for recess. Our kids are wearing masks when they're in the building. So there's that protocol that's in place as well. But I was just at Chico Elementary today, and a lot of those kids I knew from my time as a principal at Doherty Elementary, and they just were so excited to be in the building and to come in from lunch and recess and then to roll right back into learning as opposed to only being there for 3 hours. So it's a significant difference. And I think for all of us, I think one of the things that really put it in perspective is just to be grateful for the time that we have when we are in person, the time that we have with kids. I think there probably was a time before COVID where kids might have had to complain when they had to go to school on a snow day when they should have had a snow day called. And I don't think you're going to see a lot of that complaining because it's just a pleasure and an opportunity to be able to come to school every single day.
That's awesome. And I was curious too, what type of planning and work goes into, planning curriculum? Obviously, it's going to differ from middle school to high schoolers. But, is that something that takes years in advance to kind of plan out, or do you go day by day and kind of tweak things?
That's a great question. I think you look at it in a lot of different angles and it oscillates. So you want to look at a long-term 3 to 5 year vision of where you want to be in terms of what you want your learners to accomplish. And then you want to break that down into quarters. What are we going to accomplish and how are we going to move forward with our curriculum work, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4? How is all that work going to get us to our 3 to 5 year vision? So it is a very intensive long-term plan, and it's also short-term, and making sure that teachers have what they need at the ground level to be successful with implementing that curriculum. So it's a lot of day-to-day support, but it's also a lot of long-term forecasting and planning as well.
And as your students are returning to school full-time, what is one thing that you're excited for the school year?
Kids get to be kids and play and interact with each other. And if anything, I think one of the things we learned during our time away when we were forced to be remote is I think one thing that there was an uptick in just in terms of kids being happy, having, social emotional struggles. And I think just being back around people for long sustained periods of time is a healthy thing for all of us, I think adults included. Kids have the opportunity now at the elementary level to go outside and play and to be kids. Our high school students had the chance to go to lunch and talk with their friends. Those social aspects, they're a very important facet of what we do in public school. And it can't be lost on anybody, because when we educate students, we're educating them to be well-rounded individuals and balanced individuals. And learning is an important piece. And achieving high, standards and proficiency in those standards is very important. But along with that, it takes people to feel safe and emotionally secure and happy to be able to do that important work of learning. So that's what I'm most forward to looking what I'm looking forward to throughout the year is just seeing smiles on kids' faces and seeing them interact and just a chance to be kids.
Well, once again, thank you so much for joining us, Scott.
Thanks, Maddie.
Once again, we've been joined by Scott Long, Assistant Superintendent for Learning Services. We're going to take one final break, and when we return, we will spotlight someone from right here from our community who has improved the West Bloomfield 911 call center through her work.
Don't go away. You're watching The Splash on Civic Center TV.
I'll be seeing you in all of our favorite places with laughter and warm embraces all day through. The park where we play, the stoop across the way, that favorite cookie smell, and Big Bird's tree we love so well. I'll be seeing you. I'll be seeing you.
I love you too.
With free COVID-19 vaccines, sunnier days are ahead. Visit getvaccineanswers.org.
I'll be seeing you.
And now, back to The Splash on Civic Center TV.
Welcome back to The Splash. I'm Maddie Muschin. Now it's time for our final segment, Person of the Week. This is where we highlight special people in our community who are inspiring and providing towards others. This week's recipient is Dispatch Manager for the West Bloomfield Police Department, Keisha Williams. Keisha Williams has been the dispatch manager of the West Bloomfield Township 911 call center for over 2 years. In her time leading the dispatch, she has played a role in helping the police department better utilize technology to assist with the speed and effectiveness of its dispatch, which serves not only West Bloomfield's police and fire, but also local departments in the 4 communities. Keisha's leadership helps our local dispatch professionals grow in their careers and provide the best possible service to the greater West Bloomfield, providing more effective emergency response, creating a safer community, and making her our Person of the Week. If you know someone who is making a positive difference, let us know. And message us on social media with any and all suggestions, because we want to congratulate and acknowledge those making a difference in our community. And that's it for this week's show. You can watch new episodes anytime online in HD on civiccentertv.com, Tuesdays at 5:30 p.m. on Civic Center TV on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99. Follow us on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram at Civic Center TV and Facebook at Civic Center TV 15. For all of our friends in Sylvan Lake, Orchard Lake, Keego Harbor, and West Bloomfield, I'm Maddie Muschin. Thank you for watching The Splash.